Hey, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. Today, we're going to be speaking about which hat to wear when in your business. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations with Nick and Chris. Before we get into content, Nick, how are you going today?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. It feels like I got a bit of a tan, but I don't know if loading a big 5 cube skip bin full of rubbish equals working out in the sun and enjoy myself. But one thing I did enjoy,
Yeah.
when I cranked the chainsaw up to cut some timber.
Yeah, real manly stuff, huh?
It was really real manly stuff. And it's funny, I had a bit of a laugh with my daughter, Tiana.
Yeah.
She's 13. And I said, let me give you the sound of if you bring a boy home. I started the chainsaw, gave it a couple of those, and then we gave it the I said, you see, that's what it sounds like when you bring a boy home if you're under 18. Got it?
Right. So it's going to live at the front door now, the chainsaw. It's a mark of
baseball bat. We go on the next one. She was pissing herself laughing.
No more shotguns because chainsaws are all legal, I guess, if you're unregistered.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it slipped. I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Far out.
Yeah.
The neighbors are going to be like, man, that guy starts his chainsaw every second day, but he's never cuts anything down. I don't know what he's doing with it.
Yeah, exactly. and then we he's screaming with him at his daughter.
Yeah,
that's funny. Teach him values, and I never have to start that chainsaw. That's the goal, right?
Teaching values with a chainsaw.
Yeah, exactly, with a chainsaw.
Yeah. That's not what today's podcast is about, though.
Not chainsaws and values.
That would be enlightening. Today, we want to talk about what hat to wear when you're running a business, because obviously running any business, there's lots of different hats that business owners wear. We see lots of business owners come through that are doing pretty much every job. If you broke down the roles and responsibilities from their organizational chart, their name's everywhere, splattered all over that thing. So that's kind of leading into this. Nick, where do you want to start off with in relation to what hat business owners should be wearing in their businesses?
Good question. Look, for me, I think it needs to start at the role. Most business owners don't realize that their role is evolutionary. Think about it. When you first started in any business, you've got all the hats because it's pretty much just you in the business, right? Usually. Or it might be you and your partner, or you and your wife, or you and your husband, or you and a mate, or whatever it may be, right? So a lot of the times you're sort of doing everything. And think of that as role 1.0. But as you start to grow, let's say, you reach a 500 grand and then you go to $1 million and then you're moving into 2 million or 3 million, that role needs to be evolutionary. And the reason being, to do 3 million by yourself, depending obviously on what type of business you have, might be a little bit challenging, but you might need, 3 to 11 people in the $3 to $4 million mark. I remember watching the director, the CEO for Infusionsoft. And he was saying that usually a 1 to 3 million gap is between 3 to 11 employees. 3 million and up goes to 15 employees. So it sort of grows incrementally. Now, I'm saying that it's not always the rule, and depends on what you're in. I mean, if you're in construction and you sign on to $5 million homes, it doesn't mean you need 11 people. You may need a team of 3 or 4 people, or maybe it's yourself and then complete outsource team. But either which way, I think your role ultimately begins to change and evolve from where it is there on what hats, not necessarily that you like wearing, but hats that you may need to wear or have to wear or, have no choice to wear at the end of the day, right? And some of them, guess what? You can't put away, in the closet because sooner or later, there's an emergency and you've got to put that hat back on. So what I'm hoping to show in this series is what hats when really is.
What hats when? Okay, good.
Yeah. So the first thing is, what's your role today in business? Great. And then what's your role going to become in business? So with me at the moment, my role is still not just business owner, but it's also, I'm a coach. So I've got my coach hat on, and I have my business owner hat on. And obviously I've got leadership. I'm a leader in this business. So leader's important. I've got to do with sales. I've got to do with recruiting. Now I'm getting less in sales because we're getting other people to be able to do that.
Yes.
So, that hat isn't on as much as I would have done in the past.
Sure.
With coaching, I'm looking to move away from coaching. So I'm trying to not wear that hat as much. So do you see my role today is still has all of those hats on at this stage.
Yep.
What's it evolving into the next 12 to 24 months will be 0 to hardly any coaching. So that hat could be semi-retired, to be brutally honest. Now, if it's for a larger company that we're working with, the 150, 200 employees, and we're doing a group coach type approach for them, of course, it might be a full day of leadership coaching or strategy or, connecting with the CEOs on that level or the board or whatever it may be. So that's where I just grab that hat and put that on for there. So the first thing is you've got to think about it. Now, let's say if you're in, I don't know, you're an NDIS as an example. We've got clients that are in NDIS. If you're 0 to 1 million, you still got a lot of hats to wear. But once you start moving past that and you've got maybe 30 or 50 team members, that work for you, like carers and stuff like that, they could be subcontracted or not. It makes sense that you start thinking about quality control and training. So you're less about, do I need to bring in work? Because you probably got the lead flow part of it. You probably have somebody managing that part of it. To me, it sounds like you probably need to start thinking about, training and recruitment, right? It's the business tips where it goes, we've got enough work in, but now we need the people to do the work. And now we need to make sure that the quality is still as good as what we did when I was changing the sheets.
Right, sure.
Where I was caring for an elderly or a disabled patient or something like that.
Okay. I have a question around that because business owners sometimes get in a groove where they continue doing the same thing and maybe do it for too long. So it slows down the growth of their business. How do you know when it's time to give that hat to someone else or to pass that on?
Great question. I think that there's telltale signs. Number one, where you're starting to regret doing that stuff, oh man, I can't believe I've got to do this sales meeting again. I can't believe I've got to speak to that client about that, or I can't believe I need to keep on going on site all the time to check these guys' work or any of that stuff. I think that's a telltale sign. I think on a positive or empowering note, it's where you start to see that the systems are actually more powerful than you having to do it. Where the system starts to create its own capabilities, like, I don't know, as an example, if you're teaching somebody, I don't know, how to fill a skip bin, and, that's their job when the apprentice goes from unconsciously incompetent, I've got no idea how to do this, to, consciously competent, I know how to do this, and then unconsciously competent, I can do this with my eyes closed. Now you're also starting to go, I don't no longer have to really do that role. I don't have to. And, if we pull it back to situational leadership, it's when they become a D3, D4 level employee. So that's kind of a telltale sign. Another telltale sign, I think, is when you're falling behind in the key activities that need to be done for your role. Because like you said, most people get stuck in that role because they haven't identified what their new role looks like. So that becomes habit. Better the devil is the kind of best way for me to describe that. I'll stay in this relationship with myself and with my business, because you're in a relationship with your business. And most of the times the business beats, the business actually becomes less about a relationship and it becomes a dictatorship. Your own business gets you by the throat and tells you what to do. And unfortunately, then it sounds a bit crazy, but a lot of business owners fall in love with their captor. Their captor's treating him poorly, no health, making him work long hours, can't take any days off, hurts him with money, do all of that stuff. This is crazy, right? But this is if we're really going to talk about it. So you need to understand, in your relationship with the hat that you're wearing, are you doing all of this because it's a control issue that it's too hard to let go, or have you created such a business that you've become the victim or the hostage in the relationship.
I think that's a very powerful point, what you've just mentioned. Are you being held hostage by yourself ultimately, but by your business? Or what was that second section there?
Well, it's like you've fallen in love with the captor.
Have you fallen in love with the captor?
Well, think about it. Some people get themselves in a way, and we know, because when our clients fill in those forms, are you able to take more than 3 to 4 weeks off without affecting the business? 99.9% no. Is it making the money that you really need in order to live a great lifestyle? Blah blah blah. No. Is there anybody else that can take charge of this business if God forbid something happens to you? The answer is no. So all of those things, you're responsible for the business that you've created. There's no one else to blame but you. People go, yeah, but we got really busy in this thing. It's like, well, you allowed yourself to get busy. Now, in saying that, if you can't be in a relationship, or what's a relationship? The word relation is I'm elated to be with you or see you. It needs to be, and a relationship needs to be 2 ways, right? You need to give a little, take a little.
Yes.
Be cautious, be careful.
Yes.
Be assertive when you need to. Be all of these things, whatever relationship is. And you can see if you're in a relationship one way, you could imagine if, let's say, I don't know, with my wife, it was all one way. I had to do everything. She didn't want to do anything, kept the money from me. I didn't have money to spend for, my toys, and I'm dicking around and doing all of that stuff. Well, then is that a relationship, or is it really weird? But some people get so far in that, like I said, that it feels like it's a hostage captor situation. And we've heard, there's enough research that the hostage falls in love with the captor once the captor gives them a little ray of sunshine for something. Oh, but my business still pays the bills. Yeah, but I'm working 7 days a week. No, it's okay, but it's business. I have to do it. Another telltale sign, by the way, is where you start making excuses for the business.
Right.
I hear this all the time.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do, mate? That's a business. What am I going to do? If you want a job done, do it yourself. What am I going to do? The business needs you. What am I going to do? No one else knows how to do this. What am I? I'm like, dude, you're making excuses for your business. And that's crazy, right? People don't even think about it. But this is what kind of insanity starts to look like. Time that you change your hat, because it's like, on your tombstone, you're not going to have, you fell in love with the business.
I think for people listening to this right now too, have you spoken these words in your own mind to yourself before? Have you made excuses for your business? Think about that, because I think that's powerful. I think at all levels, for people that are trying to grow their business and trying to figure it out, there's definitely been moments where they go, I'm starting to make excuses for my business. Like, come and hang out with us, on the weekend, Chris, or let's go away for 3 nights. Oh no, I can't possibly do that. I need to do payroll or whatever it is on Monday, or I need to do the invoicing on Monday. I can't have Mondays off.
How am I going to take any time off?
How am I going to take any time off?
It's our busy season.
That's right. It's our busy season.
What am I going to do? In retail, who's going to open the shop? Who's going to? I'm like, all right, we just got to start to think about saying who is going to open the shop.
Yeah.
Like, is it time for you to start thinking a different role? Can you get somebody, which is kind of my next point anyway. So.
I was going to say, well, the first point is identifying role. And I think there's a level of awareness in there too.
Correct.
If you're feeling like you're wearing too many hats, you probably are.
You said it perfectly. Have you said this to yourself? If you have, that's a telltale sign.
There we go.
It's interesting because we all have. I've got no doubt. But to me, I feel like I'm in a position now with the business that if it wasn't me coaching my clients, all of you guys could coach my clients without too much of a problem. And the whole goal there, by the way, the evolution of the business owner is to go, I don't work a day in my life. I just enjoy it. I love doing what I do. But you also got to go, it's a fine line between that and becoming addicted to the business, because there's an addiction there and or a hostage situation.
Yes.
Relationship. So,
yes.
Yeah. Now, number 2 is, choosing the hats. When is, what are you worth? Today in your role, what you worth. So when you start with a business, you pretty much do everything. I'm going to do the books. I'm the guy who cleans the toilet. I'm the guy that delivers the delivery. I'm the guy that makes the shit. I'm the guy that does, gets material, all of that stuff becomes that. But sooner or later, as soon as you start to grow and develop in your business and mature in your business and all of that stuff, within a few years, it's usually 5 to 10, and then you're in a position, you've got to start to think about, from your role, what's the best return on investment. And what I mean by work is it worth it for you to, take the stuff down to the post office, try to find the parking, post the shit into the thing, versus, you know what, I could probably get the courier to come pick it up straight from here at Australia Post to do that. Or I'll just send the other person, the office lady or the office guy or whatever, to go and do it instead of me, so I can go and concentrate on something else. And the best way I always tell it to people is, if you're booked out at $100 an hour as an example, and that activity could be done for $30 an hour, you should probably do it less. You can get an Uber to come and pick up your shit and take it to the post office. When you really think about it, right? Fixed costs, you know what it is. Put it in their trunk, they go do it because that's what they're doing all day, and it's affordable. It's cheaper than a courier, all right? If you're doing that, and let's say you can do that for $30 an hour, $40 an hour, you doing it is costing the company $60 an hour. Costing the company $60 an hour. So from a worth point of view, it's that. Number two, if you're doing so much of the work and then you're falling behind on lead generation for the company, because lead generation is important, which I want to talk about, kind of the sequence of what and when. But I think you've got to think really deeply into what are you worth for this company. Because you're an employee for this company as well, not just the business owner. You're an employee. What would you tell an employee that it's costing you $200 an hour or whatever it may be? Senior employee. What would you say to them? Hey, yeah, cool, dude. Go get the lunches for everyone.
Yes.
Is that what you do? Damn, I wouldn't be doing that.
I think that's an empowering point that you just made there as well, where people see I'll go and get the latches, or I'll go and post the letter, or whatever. I'm saving. Here we go. I'm saving $25 or $30 an hour, because that's what an admin assistant could be doing. I'll do it myself. I'll save $30. But what you just mentioned, if you charge yourself at $100, you're actually losing out on $60 to $70, depending what that number is. You're losing that. So I think it's about rewiring the brain to go, I'm not saving $30, I'm losing 70.
I'm losing 70. Well, and I'm losing time. Time's the most important factor. Yeah. Now, number three, I think, as a business owner, choosing the hats, there's one hat that needs to be done if you've got employees. This is only if you've got employees and or subcontractors. Because today, subcontractor is just an extension of you as a company, right?
Yeah.
Whoever does the work, whether they're employed by you or they're subcontracted by you, at the end of the day, the buck stops at you. Simple, right? And today, I wouldn't have subcontractors if I didn't have control on their training, because the quality standards are important. So I think it's important to go, you must have your hat of leadership on. Yes. Leadership, training, developing processes. That's a big part of the evolution part of the business. For us, we're starting to become very process orientated. This year's been a push on that. Next year, we'll have a push on that. We're building up Coach University. The way our coaches coach, we've got Fathom for accounting. We've got Simply Coach, as a coaching platform. And all of these processes are getting built out more and more to take less emphasis on the coach themselves and more emphasis on the system. Yep. If we can become system orientated through leadership of your employee, it makes sense. Our friend Drew, spoke about that the KPI of people is very high on the agenda. If you're the type of client that, type of business that employs people, obviously. Yeah. And even if it's subcontractors, it makes sense that you develop them to the point where you don't have to do much. They get the job and they go, cool, leave it to me, D3, D4, just check in with me, we're good to go. So to me, leadership is a natural evolution of the hat that you need to wear as a business owner. There's business owners that can't work with others. The builder that's at my place, he goes, I'm not good with people. And I can see why. That's just his thing. But us in the build, he's old school. Everything's done to perfection.
Right.
costing me an arm and leg, but it's that thing that, the other part of the house will fall down before what he's building,
Sure.
And he's that guy, and he's very certain in his ways, and he likes things a certain way, and that's why he doesn't employ anybody. He goes, I'm no good with that, you know what I mean? And he gets along with him, he's not rude or any of that stuff, but you can tell he's not the guy that's public speaking. He's not the guy, He goes, I don't know how you do what you do, because he hassles me. He goes, oh, what do you do? Just talk. I'm like, well, dude, we do a lot. He goes, I know. He goes, that brain drain for me. He goes, it's no good. That's why I like the radio on. He's got his dog with him. He just builds. That's his thing.
Gets in there
And so do you see, this doesn't account to him. Leadership isn't going to be the goal because it's not for that. This is only if it's that. So, his hat for him is just put the builder hat on. That's it.
That's it.
That's his goal. And some people it's cool. That's why it's not a judgment. It all depends on where you are with your business. But
Sure.
Leadership is 150,000% a must if you're employing people and or subcontractors.
Very good.
Now, and then I thought we'd talk a little bit about sequentially where you need to have your hats.
Yes.
First and foremost, to me, it's as a business owner, you need to ensure that either you're doing and or delegating sales and marketing. All right? Because lead generation is the number one priority for any business.
Okay, so that's one hat we're talking here.
That's one hat, right?
Okay, good.
Or whether you're wearing it all the time or you're putting it on and off just to manage people.
Okay,
to me, I'm still a part of the sales processes, obviously, from lead generation through to conversion.
Yes.
But now I'm starting to back away because we're building systems and people inside that role for me not to do it. But I need to rest assured that we've still got the lead flow, and that we've still got the conversions every month, and that we still got the right level of activity happening. Because anybody that doesn't do this, now what I like is, be good to get it up to a waiting list. 6 months before you can join up, coach. I'm happy with that. That should be our ultimate kind of goal. But in saying that, I think with any business, if you get aim 6 to 12 months in advance booked out, especially in construction, that's going to be a good thing. That way you can take your foot off the pace a little bit and start concentrating on other stuff. But first and foremost, number one priority is to have sales and marketing hat on and or start to build it that you don't need to have it. That's number one.
Good.
Number two, it's finance management.
Perfect.
If you don't have any finance management, if you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, if you've got cash flow issues, if you're not looking after your duty to the tax department, if you're not doing all of these things, more than likely you're going to have a problem. Now, a lot of people that we know, and you know this, Chris, go, the accountant knows the figures, not me. I don't know how much I made last year.
Yeah.
Got a rough idea. I estimate, but I'm not 100% sure. Hey, it looks like I've got money in the bank, but I'm not sure how much we owe the tax department. If you don't want to wear that hat accurately, I guarantee you that the tax department will wear that hat accurately, and they'll come and take it. Right. So, this is just a realistic, bit of data that you need to take on board. I wish it was, all rainbows and butterflies, but it isn't. If you don't manage your money, somebody else will manage it for you. I guarantee you that.
Yeah. You can't leave your bookkeeper.
Level,
you can't leave your bookkeeper to wear the financial management hat. It doesn't work that way. You've got to be
because a lot of people don't like doing it, so they scare away from it, or they don't like it, or they don't engage. And that's why for us, we've created tools like Fathom just to make it really easy for people to understand. Where's your cash flow? Where's your break even? Where's your income? Where's your P&L? Where's your projections? And you don't need much. There's 6 or 7 key numbers.
Yep.
And that's it. But you must look at those continuously.
Yes.
How much income is coming into this business? How much expenses are going out of this business? Simple. So financial management, is there. And then finally, I think it's operational management. So operations means, things like making sure that, all your employees are doing the right thing. We're delivering on what you got paid for. That should be part of it. Now, the more systems you get in place and then the more employees you start to get onto, it shifts for less about systems and more about people. This is where the KPI of people comes into. But you see, once again, I told you, like from your role, it evolves into that next level of what you do for your company. You know, at the moment, I don't have to worry too much about whether people are paying or not. I'll still keep an eye on it. But, you know, Linda looks after that. I don't have to worry about if my diary's right or wrong. Lana looks after it. I don't have to worry about if we're going to sell right or wrong because I'm a part of it, and or John Polo's starting to do that stuff. You know, so it's this evolution. My more concern is, how do I give back to the coaches? How do we really build out a world-class teaching program, which you're working on? How do I do more of this stuff? How do I write my next book? How do I think about different ways to get the next echelon of client that we're looking for? And how do we lead this company? How do I think about vision and all of that? You know, that's how it works. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm lying on a, you know, mattress full of money. It's not about that. It's more about, I'm preparing myself for the next evolution in the company.
Yeah, you're
And
changing
the money is the byproduct of doing things great.
And you're changing hats on the way through, really, because that's what we're covering today. So a big part of it is you're just changing hats as your business grows and evolves at the same time.
And it's funny. Sometimes you put an old hat on and it feels good, right? Like you know, I used to be the key breadwinner for the company for everything. You know, live events, me on stage. You know, 3-day events, me on stage. You know, and now it's just mastermind, me on stage. Or if I go to present for, you know, an association or a company or something, and I like putting that hat on. It's 30 minutes. I go nuts. I have fun. It's really, really cool. But I don't have to do it all the time because I got burnt out of doing it all the time. So you got to be careful of that. That's a telltale sign. Oh God, I have to do this again.
Yeah, you can only wear a hat for so long before it gets worn out, right?
Then it's like, it goes out of fashion.
Goes out of fashion.
You know what I mean? Like, you've got to think. It's a great question to ask. Like, are you still wearing that hat and you're a bit out of fashion? And I get it. You could be that person. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm cool with that. But if you don't evolve in a business, you're devolving.
Yeah, that's right.
Simple. Even the best artisan knows that today there's a part of the business that they need to do. You can't just make bread anymore. You make bread and you got to kind of sell your shit. And you probably got to put it on Instagram. And you know, it's not as simple as I just have the shop front and that's it. That's some businesses are, but not all. So you need to evolve with that. So I think that the takeaway from this is, you know, what hats to choose when, I think, is think about the evolution of you and the evolution of where the business needs you to be at. That's very, very important.
Yeah, great. Can you roll through I think there were 3 main points in there. Started at know your role. Let's start.
Yeah, number 1 is know your role. You know, where are you today? What role do you need to create? Number 2, what ROI are you responsible for your business? You know, how much are you worth to the business doing the activities that you're doing? You know, think, you know, go get the lunches versus, you know, go and get a new client, right? And number, 3 is obviously leadership. If you've got employees or subcontractors, you must start thinking about quality control standards and training and or leadership of that team. And sometimes leadership is you need to be the shoulder to cry on. Sometimes you also need to be, you know, the fierce warrior to get rid of. You know, sorry, you don't belong in this business anymore.
Yeah, very good.
And then finally, I think just from a sequential point of view is, like I said, number 1, sales and marketing. Number 2, money management. Number 3, you know, leadership and number 3, operational, you know, output, and then finally leadership. And I think those components are very important.
Very good. If anything that you listen to this podcast today and you start thinking about some of the things you've been saying to yourself based on where you are in business, what hat are you wearing is my question to you. And is it time to pass those hats on to others, or perhaps evolve your role within the business so that you can put a different hat on? Thank you so much again today, Nick, for your time and advice. Do you have any final hat wearing advice that you want to pass on?
Yes. Wear the hat that you love wearing, because if you do what you love doing, be aware of the stuff that you don't really like doing, but you know you need to, like, you know, money management, sales, you know, systems, all of that stuff. And then the rest, let somebody else wear that hat that they love doing for you. So
Great.
I like to go out and I got a couple of nice fedora hats at home. You know, every time I put them on, man, it just feels good, right?
It feels good.
Gangster. You know, I just like wearing that because it's me. It feels like it's an extension of me. And, you know, telltale signs of that is you love doing what you do and you feel full of energy and you love doing it. And it just fits perfectly with you, you know. And that's what's important. If delegation is your hat, because you like delegating it to others, Elon Musk, perfect example, you know, and all the big guys, and then wear that hat. Because no use wearing a whole bunch of other hats that you hate wearing all the time. They just don't feel right. They feel a bit awkward in their bite.
Maybe it's time to change the hat if you're listening.
Maybe it's time to change your hat.
Guys, if you need help deciding which hat to wear in your business, please reach out to us at ask@upcoach.com.au. Otherwise, we'll see you all again on the next episode very soon. Bye now.